Feelings cannot be eaten, they need to be dealt with. Yes, Finn. Hey folks, it's Finn. Welcome back folks, lovely to see you. In today's video, I want to talk about a book I've recently discovered that's really helping me with some of my remaining food issues. Now, regular viewers will know that I talk about my issues with eating a lot. My biggest problem is that I'm an emotional eater. I eat for comfort, I eat when I'm not feeling great, I eat to feel better, and this has been a problem for a long time. I'm forever looking for new ways to deal with this and trying new things to deal with it, and nothing seems to work. It's a constant source of frustration. But I've recently discovered a book called Never Binge Again by Glenn Livingston, and this book is making a huge impact on how I think and act around food. So in today's video, I want to talk about why I think that this book, Never Binge Again, is so radically different to anything else I've tried. And I also want to talk about how it's making me think differently around food and how it's working for me so far. But before we get stuck in, for anyone who is new, a very, very big welcome. My name is Finn, and here on this channel I share my life in recovery as a transgender gay man. So here you will find loads of videos on going through the gender transition process, on recovery from addiction, on mental health, on personal development, and loads more besides. So if you haven't yet subscribed, I'd love it if you would do so. You really would be helping out my channel, and then you won't miss all of the regular Finnstallments. So let's start by talking about my food history. I have a long history of disordered eating. I've spoken about this many times in lots of videos, and I'll put a link to a playlist at the end of this video so that you can see some of those videos and how I've progressed over the years. But to explain in a nutshell, from a very young age, I restricted food. I very much underate, and I had periods of binging and purging, and I realise now that this was all because I had undiagnosed gender dysphoria. What I was trying to do was keep my body male looking and stop it developing. When I realised I was transgender and I came out, I of course realised what was happening around food, and this allowed me then to go into recovery, not just from drink and drugs and self-harm and everything else, but also from the unhealthy eating I was doing, and I've managed to stop in that period of time from restricting. I no longer restrict food, I no longer binge and purge. However, although I no longer have an issue with the urge to restrict food or to binge and purge, I still do not have a healthy relationship with food, and it troubles me, it really does. I love food, and I don't know when to stop. I cannot put away a pack of biscuits. If I get out a pack of biscuits, they're all gone. I have a tub of Ben & Jerry's, it's the whole tub. I just can't be let loose in a buffet because I will do as many plates as I humanly can before I'm blacking out from too much food. I am a compulsive overeater. Now, at first this didn't bother me. Having had such a poor history with eating all my life, once I went into recovery, because I was very underweight, it didn't really matter that I was eating, and so for many years I just let myself carry on with enjoying as much food as I wanted. But I gradually put on the weight that I needed to put on, and then put on quite a bit more. Being diagnosed with an underactive thyroid and being on antidepressant medication means that the weight is stacked against me, no pun intended. And this, combined with my desire to overeat, has just meant that I am heavier than I'd like to be, or that is healthy for me. But actually, one of the biggest problems for me more than anything isn't so much the being overweight. I can love my body even though it's overweight. My issue really is the behaviours. As somebody who is now 10 years clean and sober, these behaviours around the addiction to food are very much like those old behaviours. I am clean and sober, I'm free from self-harm, I manage my life in healthy ways now. I still have mental health issues, but I use healthy methods to cope with them. Everything in my life is healthy apart from food, and that frustrates me. It's that behaviour that's really frustrating, more than the weight itself. It's this constant cycle of saying, I'm going to do something about this, and then before I know it, I'm 6 tubs into Ben & Jerry's through the week. And that's just like my old drinking behaviour, where I would say, I'm not drinking, and then all of a sudden, I'm blind drunk and I've blacked out from a week of binging. So it's the behaviours that bother me more than anything. Regular viewers will remember that my last serious attempt to get on top of this weight issue was last summer when I joined Slimming World. I thought it would be really good to be in a very supportive group where I could relearn how to have a healthy relationship with food. Unfortunately, as well as those groups might be run, the people in them are human, and some of the ways people were talking about restricting food was just bringing up old behaviour patterns for me. It's not that I think that Slimming World, Weight Watchers or any of the diet groups are bad. I just think for me personally, with having an eating disordered past, there was too much in those groups that was problematic for me, and it just didn't work. I pretty much gave up trying again, and then Christmas happened, and then Corona happened, and my weight has just increased even more. So recently, in looking around for a solution, I stumbled across the book Never Binge Again by Glenn Livingston. From the very start of reading Never Binge Again, it was very clear that it was a radically different approach than anything I'd ever tried before. Now, I am somebody who has had a lot of success with Alcoholics Anonymous. With the help of the AA program, I've got clean and sober, but I've also applied it to every other area of my life, and it's worked really well for me. So I've applied those recovery principles to my eating, the progress not perfection, the 1 day at a time approach. I've used all of these to be gentle and compassionate in trying to overcome my eating issues in the same way as I've overcome my other addictions. But Never Binge Again reads quite anti the recovery message. There is a lot of talk in the book against the idea of the 1 day at a time approach and the progress not perfection attitude. And I was initially put off by this, but there was also something coming through as I was reading that was making sense. So I persevered regardless, and I'm really glad I did, because I had a huge epiphany reading it where I could see that approach hadn't been working for me with food. Using the 1 day at a time, using the progress not perfection, was actually just setting myself up to fail all the time. And I'd hung on so tightly to it because it had worked for everything else that I was forcing it to work for food, and it wasn't working for me. And this is something I'm so grateful to the book for, because it helped me, because sometimes we're so set in how we think we know ourselves and how we best work that we can often miss a trick for ourselves. And I'd really just missed the whole point that the recovery program was failing me when it was coming to my eating. And thanks to Never Binge Again, I started to see that. I started to see that every time I was saying 1 day at a time, I was setting myself up to keep going through these cycles of saying, well, I've messed up with food today, it's progress not perfection, I'll try again tomorrow. Then the same thing would happen. And I think because with alcohol I can just say never again, I could do the 1 day at a time, never again. But because food's in my life every day, trying to say 1 day at a time or progress not perfection when I've got to constantly eat to survive just wasn't working. So Never Binge Again was incredibly helpful in helping me to notice and acknowledge fully for the first time that the recovery method wasn't working for my eating and I needed to try something new. So instead of approaching things 1 day at a time and saying things like it's progress not perfection, what Glenn Livingston encourages us to do is to separate the part of us that is compelled to overeat, separate it from ourselves and name it the pig. Sounds harsh, I know, but bear with me. The whole point of the Never Binge Again way is that we learn ways to cage this pig. We learn how to control it by sticking it in a cage, and we learn to recognise the compulsion to eat, overeat, as squeals from that pig. And by doing this, we come to realise it is the pig squealing for its slop that's the issue, and if we separate it from us and keep it caged, we can overcome the urge to overeat, because it isn't us that has the urge to overeat, it's the pig. Are you with me? And yes, I know it does sound really harsh, and for somebody who is very compassionate, and I'm all about being very gentle with ourselves and loving with ourselves, on first read it can sound a bit much. But actually, when you come to realise that it is about compassion, because we are saying actually it's not really me that wants to eat in this unhealthy way, it's this aspect of me that's run amok. And Glenn describes it as the lizard brain. So the pig is our lizard brain. Our lizard brain is that unconscious survival drive that we need to eat to stay alive, but for some reason in some people that lizard brain just runs amok and takes over from what we actually really want to do, our conscious desire to have a healthy relationship with food, to eat in moderation. That gets overawed by this compulsion of the pig run amok. So I'm not treating myself harshly at all. I'm just learning to contain my lizard brain, and by naming it something like the pig, I can see that it's completely separate to me. This pig is not me. It's just my unconscious desires run completely amok. So in learning to cage the pig, what we do is we learn to recognise its squeals as it squeals. It's not really me wanting the food, it's the pig. And when the pig squeals for food, we call it pig slop. So the idea is we cage the pig and we refuse to eat pig slop. And the way we do that with the Never Binge Again method is by having a set of food rules. And they are rules that come under nevers, always, unrestricted and conditionals. And this is the great thing. There is no specific diet. You can choose whatever diet you want and you just create the rules around that diet that work for you. And this is why it's been so absolutely awe-inspiringly different for me, this approach, because it allows me to focus on the behaviour rather than the food. Because my eating disorder past means that some of the diets that are out there can be quite triggering. But this way, I'm not looking at food itself, I can look at just the behaviour and address the behaviour. For example, my main food issue, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know this already, is ice cream. Not the skinny stuff, I've tried it, it's nice, but I am a Ben & Jerry's man, and let's be honest here for a minute, for the sake of honesty and putting myself out there, on a bad week, it's not unlike me to do 5 whole tubs of Ben & Jerry's in a week. Starting Never Binge Again, the suggestion is to start with your most problematic food and make a rule around that. So I introduced a never, and my never is I never eat more than 1 tub of Ben & Jerry's a week. So I'm not saying never again and making my pig panic, and having a little bit of ice cream every now and again is actually okay, and I'd like that in my life. But I'm choosing now. I'm choosing what's healthy, and 1 tub a week is okay. More than that really isn't. So with this new rule, I can have that tub of Ben & Jerry's anytime I want during the week, but once I've had it, that's it. And if the pig then wakes up and starts squealing, I can refer to my rules and say, nope, sorry Mr. Pig, you're staying in the cage, because I never eat more than 1 tub of Ben & Jerry's a week. As suggested in the book Never Binge Again, I am adding new rules one by one as I go. I'm introducing them gradually so that I don't make the pig get too loud and I can't cope with it. So I'm just going bit by bit as I'm learning about my food issues and adding rules around them. So as well as the Ben & Jerry's never, I've got a new always, is where I always write down everything I eat so that I can be more honest about my intake. And I have a conditional now where I say that I never eat any dessert unless I'm at a restaurant or at a friend's house for dinner, and then I can have dessert, but then never more than once a month. So I just look at what problems come up for me around food and then create rules to deal with those. And that's what these first 6 weeks reading this book have been about for me, just really getting honest about food and looking at some of these behaviours. It has been up and down. The first 3 weeks were amazing. I was having no issue sticking to my plan. Knowing that the squeals were the pig and not me was really helpful. But then I got poorly and my mood dropped, and I did end up eating outside of my plan. But I pulled it back much quicker than I normally do, and I'm now back on plan again. And it's okay, because this is still very much learning for me. I'm still learning what my pig squeals are. I'm still learning how to really fine-tune my rules so that they work well for me. And even with a few slip-ups here and there, I can feel my behaviour towards food changing, really significantly changing for the first time in a long time. So as you can see, I'm really enjoying this book. I'm also really loving the fact there are so many additional resources that come with it. Once you buy the book, there are lots of other downloads available as well to write your food plan, cheat sheets to help you deal with pig squeals. There's a really engaged community on Facebook as well that runs alongside the book that people join in with. There's podcasts, you can subscribe to Glenn's email list, and you get loads of really amazing tips in the post, in your email, to help with certain issues as well. So I love the fact that you haven't just got the book, but you've also got all these additional resources and community as well. And I'm feeling really, really optimistic for the first time in ages about the possibility of kicking some of these habits, some of these bad behaviours I don't want, and having a much healthier relationship to food and a healthier body. I will put the links to the book in the section below and all the other links as well. And I will follow up on this vlog in a month's time or so. So if there's anything else you'd like me to talk about in relation to this book, in relation to the food plan, eating disorders, or anything else, please do let me know as well in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to answer your questions or create more videos. I know I've also been speaking with Flock Club members about this book, and lots of you have said that you can relate to this, and I've suggested that we could have a group in our Discord app where we could be accountability partners for each other and share our progress together as we work through the book. So if you're not a Flock Club member already and you'd like to be, there are lots of additional perks too. I shall put a link up here and also in the section below as well. I really hope that this video was helpful. If it was, please do let me know by giving this video a thumbs up. Feel free to share it wherever you think would help. If you want to see more of my videos around eating, I shall link you to a playlist here. Thanks for watching, folks. Take care of yourselves. Keep on keeping on. See you next week.